Please move away, miss. No, I know. Can you please move away, miss?
Okay.
My name is Inspector Hunter from Sydney City Police.
Yes?
I've moved you up here and detained you because you've been an imminent breach of the peace. The sergeant here is going to get your details.
Yep.
What we're going to get you to do is going to move on from the area. You want to leave this area and not come back because your behaviour here is going to cause what we call a breach of the peace and cause them to get antagonised. We're not having that.
Imagine a Jew goes to a synagogue for an event celebrating innovation of an Israeli university. He brings along his Israeli flag in his bag, heads to the event with his wife, only to find a group of Jew haters protesting his existence outside the place of worship. So he decides to respond to the crowd of anti-Semites by pulling out his Israeli flag and waving it proudly. And when the terrorist sympathising crowd goes nuts, police rush the lone Jew, not to protect him, but rather to move him on. Well, this isn't some fictional story, you don't have to imagine it, because it's exactly what happened last week to my next guest. Offer, thanks for joining us. Tell us from the beginning, when was it and what happened?
Wednesday, a week exactly from today, my wife and I attended the Technion 100 Years of Innovation event at the Great Synagogue. We purchased the tickets before we knew there's a protest outside. I walked next to them, and you have the usual random crowd, the typical cesspool of University of Sydney, people that are representing Student Against War, but they do put a motion for support of an armed resistance, which, as you know, this is not war, of course, and other intellectual and senior lecturers that you can often see them chanting with Hezbollah alongside their supporters. And as I was going to the event, because it was an Israeli event of an Israeli university, I had an Israeli flag with me. I crossed the road. I didn't want to confront them in a physically dangerous way. Crossed the road on my way to the event, and I whipped up the Israeli flag.
So come up here.
Yep, and we're speaking peace.
Just come up to cause dramas. That's all you're doing.
Hold on.
Keep walking. I'm not having you cause a public issue because you wanted to pull the flag out. They're allowed to protest.
Alright, can we please
You're just antagonising it. No, you're moving away from the area so they don't cause dramas.
Alright, can we stop at a certain state? I can give you the flag and I'll go to the event.
You've done that to antagonise them.
When you pulled out the flag and the police came towards you, how did you feel in that moment when you were being moved on?
I was surprised. I know that typically when people rock up into a pro-Palestinian protest and wave an Israeli flag, it's common practice to detain them and give them a move on order. We've seen that plenty of times. I didn't expect that to happen because I went to an Israeli event in a synagogue. And one can only imagine that whipping out an Israeli flag in front of a synagogue celebrating Israeli innovation is to be expected. But throughout the process, I was accused of breaching the peace and being the one that crashed their event. It was the exact opposite. You're telling me in good faith that they submitted a Form 1
I've seen it. I've read it.
without seeing.
I read it.
They did not know the location.
Don't put me a liar, mate.
I am not.
I read it. I've seen it.
Okay. In New South Wales, we have the permit system. They need to submit what we call Form 1 7 days ahead, including the locations. So I knew there's absolutely no chance they submitted the Form 1 in advance with the location because that wasn't public information. I presented these facts to the commander, and that didn't help. They treated me as if I crashed their event, not the other way around.
So what you're saying is it's not possible, even if they put in the form, it's not possible that they put in the location because no one could have known the location unless they magically guessed the location for which they wanted their protest. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. I didn't know where it was.
Yeah. So
you can imagine how would they know?
Now, I'm guessing if he says that they did put in a permit, he's read the permit, It obviously didn't say the location. Which is that part of the requirement? You have to put location of your protest?
That is correct. Otherwise, the cops would not be able to plan their workforce, their roster, their risk management plan, all the typical work that they need to do on their end. And the irony with all that, after he was extremely convinced about the legality of their protest, later on they put up a statement saying it was unauthorized.
Wow. Your whole aim was to get into the event celebrating the University of Israel in Haifa, whatever, it doesn't matter, at a synagogue. They had an unauthorized protest across the road. You let police know that it was unauthorized. They denied it in the moment. They denied you access from the front of the street because you dared to raise an Israeli flag outside the Israeli event that they were unauthorized, unlawfully standing in front of. Did you get an apology?
Apology? No. Another thing they said, I wasn't associated with the event, which I have tickets.
We're waking up, it seems, daily now to another attack around the country, especially Melbourne and Sydney. Are you surprised if this is the way that police are policing situations outside synagogues? Are you surprised that we're waking up to brazen attacks on Jews?
Unfortunately, I'm not surprised. And the reason is, it seems like they're trying to treat the symptoms instead of treating the problems. When you have protesters, I've seen them personally with my own eyes, with Hezbollah flags, with pictures of terrorist leaders, praising them verbally, calling Nasrallah the hero of heroes, calling Sinwar a legend that will be remembered for centuries. You can't allow these kind of actions to go unmanaged for so long and then pretend to be shocked when it goes into violence. Because if you chant the original phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be Arab. I don't know how is your Arabic, but the original phrase is Min al-Miyah lil-Miyah, Palestine Arabia, which means Palestine will be Arab, not free. And you do that every single week in Melbourne, in Sydney. No one's bothering to open Google Translate to see what it means. No one bothering to potentially detain them for breach of the peace. Then when some individuals decide to take action into their own hands and hurt people and hurt property, because so far they've been untouched by the law enforcement, you cannot be surprised. This is just expected.
Some of the people in that crowd are aggressive people, right? We've had it in the past with people walk past with a flag, and it doesn't matter what the cause is. If it's the opposing side of what they're protesting, it's very unpredictable. It makes it very unsafe. And regardless what happens, either you get hurt or they get hurt or both.
The police are clearly taking the easy way out in these situations. It's much easier to move on the one peaceful, compliant one than the 50 to 100 potentially violent ones. What do you think should have happened in that scenario? Do you understand where the police are coming from?
Of course. Again, I can't blame the individuals for doing what they believe is the best method for risk minimization. The problem doesn't stem from individuals trying to do their job and risking their well-being the best way they see fit. The problem starts at the top. Who gives the direction to hide the Jews instead of protect the Jews?
What do you think they should have done?
The first person to protest against a synagogue with any flag that would deem a breach of the peace handled that person like they handled me. And if there's one, if there are two, handle them. Yes, they might be less peaceful and less compliant and more vocal than me, but that is the right thing to do. Because as the result, as the peace that was maintained, you had hundreds of Jews in a synagogue being legit afraid for their life. Throughout the event, it was about 2 or 3 hours. We heard chants all the way through, blood on your hands, murderers, genocide supporters. And at the end, the security, they were so afraid, they didn't know which way we should go, and they had to stagger our departure so we wouldn't be a big group, and asked us to hide our Star of David and our kippas. So if that's the peace that I was allegedly breaching, you have to ask yourself, Is that the peace they were aiming to maintain? Is that peace? And I would say no. That's unacceptable.